guys. Another episode of Autosave. Me trying to be consistent, like I told you guys. In the last one, I think that not the last autosave episode, but the last couple of videos that I uploaded, you guys probably saw all these different video game showcases that had came out. There was the Summer Games Fest, there was the PlayStation State of Play, and there was one that I actually did not get to capture, and that was the Xbox Game Showcase. I was actually working during the time that it was going on, so I didn't really get to record. I didn't get to record from the beginning of the Xbox Game Showcase. No disrespect to Xbox fans, I just didn't get to catch it. If I was available, I would have. Like I got lucky during the past two because I had gotten injured and my day at work was a little bit more lax. But I had to get back into the role of things with my employment, so I didn't get to capture it. All that being said, Xbox Game Showcase showed a lot of interesting games. There was a lot of cool games coming. There was Crazy Taxi that they showed coming out, which I know is a fan favorite game that used to be on a lot of arcades, which was pretty cool. They also showed off Senua. Senua was another game that's coming, which is based off of, if anybody's played the real psychological, I wouldn't say horror, but like almost like thriller kind of games. Senua Sacrifice and Senua, I think Hellblade, something like that. There was one of them that took so long. I have one of the games. I didn't play the second one though. It looks like this one is going to be more action oriented. It looks like they want to. It looks very similar to God of War. Like it might play very similar to that, but of course, Senua's not a god. I guess it's still gonna have those like psychological elements to it, but they want to focus more on the action piece of it all. They also showed Fable. If anybody's a big fan of Fable, I had always wanted to play Fable as a kid. In middle school, I used to talk to a close friend of mine a lot about that. Haven't spoken to him in a while. I hope he's doing okay. Fable is a game where your decisions and choices influence the world around you and the direction that you go. I know a lot of people have been waiting for the new Fable. It's a big franchise for Xbox, so that's cool. And then they showed Gears of War E-Day. They actually showed that at the top of the show, I heard, but I only got to get footage, of course, afterwards. Gears of War is a storied franchise for the Xbox. It's one of the things that sold the Xbox 360 in droves. I know my friend Menace is a huge fan. He got me to play Gears of War 5 back in the day with him. We used to play all the time. It's a very you gotta hide and shoot with the shotgun kind of game, and it was a lot of fun though that I had with him. But I know he's probably super excited for that, and he can't wait for Gears of War E-Day. But with all that being said, Xbox also made a lot of really big statements at their Xbox Game Showcase. If anybody got to see it, they let it be known that they acknowledging the fact that they're not in the best place that they could be. They could definitely be in a much better place. They also put out there the fact of they need to start catering to their fan base, their group. And what that means is they need to start looking at making exclusive titles, right? So I believe that Halo was supposed to be a title for both the PlayStation and the Xbox, but I think that they pulled it from the PlayStation Showcase, and can't remember if it was Gears of War or Halo. Sorry, that was the one that was gonna go back to being console exclusive, but it looks like they basically put their foot down and said, hey, like, we're going to be slowing down on the console exclusives. And I don't necessarily hate them for doing that because Sony was doing it anyway. But I think I've been listening to a lot of different game showcase and game channels out there, like the IGNs of the world, like the Kind of Funny Games of the world, like all these other game channels, and they talk a lot about like the direction that Xbox is going and how it could be damning because you don't make as much money being console exclusive, right? And of course that's true, but one, if you look at Sony is, yes, they have all these great first parties, but they've been moving in that direction, especially with now, as I spoke before in one of my previous videos, with the Steam machine coming. And the other thing is, I think that a lot of people are forgetting about the big lawsuit that happened when Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard and the big argument Sony was making when they did that. The biggest problem with them buying Activision Blizzard was the fact that they would now get sole rights over Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty, if anybody's played Call of Duty or knows about majority of the world, if not all the world knows about Call of Duty, it's a franchise that sells itself, but it sells a lot of games, right? Because a lot of people enjoy the Call of Duty franchise, right? Especially the online play. I mean, nowadays, not so much with all these other battle royales that came out, but Call of Duty is a storied franchise, right? With all that being said, um, Sony's argument during the lawsuit, if anybody can go back and look up, you can use a quick Google search, you could find the lawsuit that was happening, was that this went against, they were saying that they were going to monopolize the game industry essentially. This was a FTC violation. It was this whole thing. I think that Microsoft went in the direction of creating multi-platform releases, not just because they didn't want to make exclusives. I think they did that so that the merger could go through, so that they can show that we're not monopolizing our games, right? Because we're getting these mega franchises that they paid in the billions for, that Activision Blizzard. Um, we're not monopolizing the game industry. Look, we're releasing our games on these all other platforms. It's not like they're stopping to be released there. And I think that's why they went to multi-platform releases and removed themselves from only Xbox. But I think now they're realizing that, hey, we need to go back to the exclusives. The deal already went through. We already own the company. We lost so much money. We need to get that revenue back. And we also need to win the player fan base. You know, I think Asha Sharma, who's the new CEO for Xbox, has been doing a great job on that. But with that being said, Xbox also recently announced a massive reset, as they called it, to the company. There's an article from Variety, which you'll probably see on the screen in a few moments. They outline several surprising and even frustrating realities facing the Microsoft-owned gaming business. And essentially, anytime you hear reset or restructure, I can tell you from experience that that means that there's going to be layoffs. So I don't know if nobody saw this coming, but I think it was pretty obvious that this was coming, that there's going to be massive layoffs. Because if she's coming in, anytime new management or new leadership comes into any institution, not only are they going to want their own people, they're going to want to shift the culture in the direction that they're going, right? And anybody left there, you don't know or can't guarantee that that all the other leaders under the top leader, under the CEO, is going to want to move in the direction that the new leadership is going, right? So as soon as I heard the words restructure or reset or anything like that, it means that there's going to be a changing of the guard, essentially, right? um hmm, do I like this? No, I don't necessarily like this, because anytime people lose their jobs, it's always a sad thing, right? Because people have livelihoods, people have families to feed, it's extremely sad, right? But is it something necessary for the business? Yes, I can get that. Why can I get that? Because if you look at the definition of insanity, it's doing the same thing more than once, twice, three times, etc., and expecting a different result, right? If they continue to go into the direction that Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond was pushing the company in, and we saw it wasn't working, because I think they had something like a 3% loss, which sounds small, but on a business of Microsoft scale, that's massive. Um, if they continue to go in that direction, then they're not going to see any growth. The fan base, they're only going to continue to lose trust, because they were already losing trust. So there needs to be some restructure and change, right? Now, anytime there's structure and change, there's always going to be resilience, and there's always going to be these big resets that need to happen. And it sucks for everyone that's involved in the reset, that gets directly affected by the reset. But Microsoft as a company, I can understand the fact that where their direction they're going. And I just hope that everybody who does get affected, who's a part of like any sort of layoffs that happen, that they land on their feet, and they're able to take care of their families and the people around them, because it's always a tough experience. With that being said, there are some games that are outside of the Xbox landscape and showcase that I do want to talk about. There was recently, if you saw the state of play, Dust Fade. Dust Fade is a game that's inspired heavily, the developers were heavily inspired by Kingdom Hearts. is a really cool game that I've been following for a while. Even though it was just it's still an indie project, I think, but when it was just like much smaller. Um, I'm really excited about it. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I'm a huge Square fan for a lot of their games. Anybody who knows me knows that. And the game looks really fun. It looks really cool, and I can't wait to play it. PlayStation recently put out a video because the game was originally only for PC, but it got announced for PlayStation. They put out a video showcasing the game, and they were also showcasing what the general synopsis and the story is about. And you'll probably see little snippets of the video here, but you could see a lot of the likeness to Kingdom Hearts. And I think it's just really cool and really dope that we're actually getting this um, a game that's because we get so many games that's inspired by things like Final Fantasy, like the traditional RPG. But Kingdom Hearts, I think, also was genre defining in the action elements that it fused with the RPG elements, and it's so cool to see a game being brought out that's inspired by that. So I really hope that does well. I think it's gonna do well. I'm not worried about it at all. Another game that was announced during the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Direct was Final Fantasy Resonance. So if anybody played the mobile game Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, you know that this game is essentially that, but in a story base. And I'm very interested in the game. It looks good. The graphics on the mobile game look good for a 2D game, and it looks like they're going the Octopath Traveler route, which I think fits perfectly in a Final Fantasy world. I think they could actually remake all the other Final Fantasies in that kind of dynamic, that Octopath 3D, 2D kind of traveling kind of game, Octopath Traveler kind of game. You should be seeing it on the screen. It looks really beautiful. I actually can't wait to play the game myself. I've been showing my friend, my closest friend, who he is the one who introduced me to the mobile game, of which was the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which was a gotcha game, and I'm super excited for this, and I hope that it does get a lot of DLC, since they're removing the gotcha elements from it, and it continues on because they had multiple seasons, and I think this game is only following the first story bit of the game, the first season, but I think the second season is actually one of their best, if not their best. So and I hope as a vision we get Sora, because I saw Cloud as a vision, which is dope, and I saw Warrior of Light, but I hope we get Sora as a vision. I'm very interested to see how the visions are gonna work, because it looks like they're with the party member, but I wonder if they affect the stats, the abilities you can use, etc. So I'm just overall excited about the game. Now, speaking of games, speaking of massive layoffs and things people don't like to hear, I want to get into Tomb Raider, because there's been a lot. Tomb Raider was also announced during the Legacy of Atlantis during the PlayStation State of Play, and there's been a lot of uproar over this game, primarily because of its use of AI and being the company being honest and forthright. I was trying to find the right word about the use of AI in the game, and honestly, AI is a tough thing, right? Because we want to make sure that artists and creative get the respect, the jobs, and the due that they deserve, right? But unfortunately, as advancements happen, as things move forward, AI is just an inevitability, right? And we're gonna find that in almost everything we do. We find that in our daily lives now. We find that in our phones. When we go to hospitals, when we go to stores, they use AI. I'm pretty sure marketing and advertising use AI, and it's been a hot topic. I think the Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3 collection that's coming out, another compilation. It was being accused of having AI art. And Tomb Raider is being forthright and saying that, hey, we're using AI. In what capacity, I don't know. But am I worried about it? AI is always a worry, right? Because when you start taking things out of people's hands, you also start removing jobs from people. You start removing actual natural creativity. But AI is it's just something that's coming. There's no way that for you to stop it from coming. It's going to come. It's the new thing. It's ever expanding. Do I feel like the AI bubble might pop? I don't know. I have a feeling that it will, because I just don't know if if we're moving too fast and the technology is sophisticated enough. But is video games in general have had AI for a long time that people don't realize, like generating models and textures for grass in video games had AI use and for the longest, even before it became this big boom that's going around. It's just tough. The one thing I can't appreciate about the company though is that they're being honest about it. Because there's so many companies that we heard of and we know in the past that have talked about their game in this huge light, but were not forthright in the fact that they use AI and they wind up winning all these different awards, and then come in the future, you find out that they were using AI the whole time for a lot of their artwork, assets, etc. Right? Because they were being sneaky about it. At least what I can appreciate is that their honesty. Do I like the use of AI, and do I hope that it's AI being used in a very limited degree? I hope that is being used in a limited degree. I do not always like the use of AI, but is AI an inevitability? Yes, it is. You should be seeing the article on your screen. I just got the approval from YouTube, so now I can add those external links to my description. So links to the article from Variety, from Polygon are all gonna be in there. But yeah, I hope you guys like this episode of Autosave. I'm also gonna have a Autosave extra coming out when my son finally does some content. I've been, like I talked about in my comeback, he has some content out where he's gonna have talked about the Mega Man X series and the games that he likes. So I hope you guys tune in to watch that. But love, peace, chicken grease. Check out my new outro.
Like and subscribe!